snaps one over to Hunter. Hunter works on Giddey. Whoa, he Giddey. Whoa, he Giddey. Whoa, he Giddey. Oh, and he
The Chicago Bulls started off this season as one of the hottest teams in the NBA. Starting off 5-0, this team could not be told anything. Well, now at the date that I'm recording this, 11/24, they are 9-7 and 7th in the Eastern Conference. So what happened? What caused this collapse to a team that started off so hot? Well, to fully understand why this team is where they are today, we have to go back to when they suffered some of the first losses of the season. Now, I'm going to be skipping over the 2 games that they versed against the Knicks back-to-back for some reason, and I hate those games. But obviously they took one and they lost one. That's fine. That got them their first loss. But looking at their second loss of the season, they lost to the Bucks. Giannis completely dismantled this team. He had something like 41 points, if I'm not mistaken. But hey, that's just one game. Let's take a look at the next one. The Cavs' 2 guards dismantled them. Okay, let's look at the next one. The Spurs dismantled them at the hands of Wemby and De'Aaron Fox. And then, one of the worst losses of the season for them, the Pistons dismantled them without any of their stars. That means no Ivy, no Cade Cunningham, no Asar, no Jalen Duren. And I went back and I rewatched a bit of the highlights of each of these games. And I was trying to figure out what stood out to me. Why are all of these losses happening? And since I did that, they've lost a few more games. They've also won a few more games. One of those losses being a horrible one against the Jazz, where they got 150 points dropped on their head from one of the worst teams in the league. So, hey, I'm not going to mention that. They also got some pretty big wins and also came out very narrowly against the Wizards recently. So, they're all over the place. But the main thing I found out in those bit of losses and even wins that has really disturbed me is 2 statistics. Obviously, they have like the 20th offensive and 20th defensive rating. Screw that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They are 29th in second chance points from opponents and 28th in points in the paint. These 2 statistics tell us a lot, but one of them stands out a little more than the other. That's right, I'm talking about the points in the paint issue. It feels like anyone who gets to the paint on this team will score. And I mean, I'm not wrong. They're letting up 56 or something like that amount of points up in the paint every single game. Well, let's take a look at who the helm of this team is. Who is the center? Who is the last line of defense against these people getting to the paint? It's Nikola Vucevic. It's Vucci main. It's one of their best offensive weapons. He always has not been that good at defense, but this season specifically really highlights that. Now, I don't want to just crap on Vucevic. He is a really good offensive player. He's come up clutch twice now for them, hitting game winners in 2 games. We can give him his praise, we can let him eat his cake, but we need to talk about how often he lets people score on him in the paint. This team is already not really known for its defense. They have, Josh Giddey, Mahrez, Ayo. These players aren't bad at defense, and you could say that some of them are pretty good, but this is a offensive-minded team. When you have Giddey at the helm, you're going to be fast. He's going to find you on cuts. It's not a defensive team, but you just can't have a guy like Vucevic out when you have that, because it'll lead to exactly what we're seeing with this team. A lot of losses against people who are fast, people who can get to the paint. If we go back to all of these games, they're getting scored on in the Pistons game by, Paul Reed, Jenkins, people who get to the rim. Same with the Spurs, same with the Cavs. And while this is not their only weakness, obviously the Bulls as a team have a bit of, construction errors, roster construction issues that are already going on. Players can attack the paint extremely easily, so what can they do to fix this? Well, luckily for you Bulls fans, this team is not relying on Vucevic to be their future. He's pretty old. And the rest of this team, hey, is pretty young. So what can we do? Can we trade him? Well, they've been trying to for quite a little bit now, and they are not giving him up. And I hope that they actually give him up this season, because the Bulls have been known to hold on to their assets until they can no longer get anything out of them. They gave up Caruso for a player. No picks, nothing. Look at Caruso on the Thunder. You know, they waited forever for Levine. They waited forever for DeMar. They waited forever for Lonzo. Lonzo's not their fault, but they need to trade Vooch, especially since he has been having a very good season. And maybe some teams who are pretty desperate for some, center depth. Anyone who wants Sabonis but can't pay for Sabonis could maybe go get Vucevic. I'm thinking of maybe a team that already has a defensive presence. Maybe a team that has 2 forwards who are great defenders. Maybe a team who has a current guard who is one of the best defenders in the league. Maybe a team that needs a center. Listen to me, right? The Boston Celtics could trade for Vucevic. Now, why does this make sense? Well, he's kind of old. You can move off of him pretty soon here once his contract expires. And you already have a good defensive team. He would fit into the role that Al Horford was on this team originally. A little bit worse of a defender, I've been talking about his defense all video now. But you could give up Vooch to the Boston Celtics and maybe receive back Anthony Simons and a second-round pick. Now, I think that this is a good trade for both teams, honestly. I don't think that this is an issue for either side. Jason Tatum is trying to come back this season, it feels like. I don't think he should. But then this would give them better offensive firepower, which they need, alongside Brown. And you still have a defensive center on the roster if you need to pull him out in dire situations. If Vooch is playing bad, you do not give up your current centers. And if you're the Bulls, you can get Simons, a good shot-creating guard who, he can hit some threes, he can help this team out a little bit. And you get a second-round pick, which is a much-needed asset for any NBA team. So let me know what you guys think about this trade. Let me know if you think that I'm correct on why the Chicago Bulls kind of suck right now. This video has been a long time in the making, so I'd appreciate it if you throw a like and a sub, and peace. Editor Caden completely forgot to mention 60K views on that Luka Doncic trade video and 2,300 subs and some change. Thank you guys so much. Love you all. I appreciate it a lot. And hey, peace. Sorry.